What's up, everyone? Watching the live stream for Destiny 2 Echoes Act 2. A little bit of a live reaction to this. I'm excited. Echoes is kind of weird. I'm still not completely sold on how episodes is different than seasons, but so far, so good. We'll see. Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Good morning, good evening.
Hey, what up, Andy?
Zone to you all, and welcome to a beautifully balmy day here in beautiful Bellevue, Washington, here at Bungie HQ. Didn't realize it would be that alliterative. Welcome to our stream that's going to go ahead and showcase a little bit of what's to come in Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But very briefly, before I go ahead and kick things off, the eagle-eyed guardians among you have probably noticed a little QR code down here in this general direction. If you go ahead and give it a scan, our friends at the Bungie Foundation are going to be running a 7th column chaos tournament, and you have a chance to get involved, help them raise some funds, and do some good. So if you go ahead and do yourself a favor, give that a scan, learn a little bit more about what they got, maybe give them a follow on Twitter while you're out there.
Do that, chat.
Cool information that's on the way. But speaking of cool information on the way, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Today, we have the distinct opportunity to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the stuff that's going to be arriving with Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But worry not, as always, I'm joined by an all-star cast of guests here from the Bungie development team. I'll go ahead and dive right into it, starting with the individual right here to my left, the incomparable Allison Lures, narrative director here at Bungie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you for asking. No one ever asked me back.
More people should.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. For the uninitiated at home that may not have met you or are just kind of meeting you for the first time outside of the Vidoc potentially, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, my name is Allison Lures. I'm the narrative director for Destiny 2. It's my job to work with the team that creates our stories and characters. We're in charge of making you cry and feel things.
I have perfect. In our game, so thank you.
You're welcome.
If you want to see me cry, go watch my uncut reaction to Excision for the first time.
Happy to be of service.
We appreciate it. And of course, sitting right next to Allison is the one and only Mr.
Cried
Ryan
like a
Harris,
baby.
Senior Activities Designer here at Bungie. Ryan, welcome.
Hey.
For the folks that also may not have met you or have probably played your activities without realizing it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here?
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Harris. I'm a senior activity designer here at Bungie, and folks may know me from Season 20 Battlegrounds, 7th Inspire, and yeah, I work on the Vanguard seasonal team, making the activity content folks play day after day.
Excellent. I've spent a lot of time in 7th Inspire, so thank you for your hard work.
Welcome.
And of course, next to him, friend of the show. If you've tuned into our Into the Light streams, you've met him before a couple of times. The one and only
7th Inspire was really good.
Lead here at Bungie, the one and only Chris Proctor.
Battlegrounds,
Chris,
still not a big fan of.
Thanks, Andy. How are you today?
I am doing so good. Thank you. Everything's coming up Millhouse. This is going great. For the folks that may not have had a chance to tune into the previous streams, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie.
Yeah, folks might be familiar with my work on the weapons team. I was weapons feature lead for 4.5 years. I'm now the sandbox craft lead on Destiny, which means I help out the sandbox team with any issues they're facing and help uphold that critical sandbox quality bar.
Yeah, it's an exciting one to dive into, so thank you.
All right, let's talk about it.
Now, let's go ahead and get ready to go ahead and dive into some stuff about Act 2. But first things first, we've obviously been listening to the feedback of our fans, in particular, the kind of weekly rollout of all the different stuff that's happened through Episode 1. With Episode 2, you guys are looking to try something a little bit different, isn't that right?
Oh, all right, what do we got?
We've been listening to the fans and listening to feedback, and we agree it's time for a change. So we're going to do a trial of something new in Act 2. We're going to be dropping all 3 beats of the acts at once. So we'll be dropping all the 3 beats for Act 1 at the same time, all the 3 beats for Act 2 at the same time, all the same beats for Act 3. And the goal is to encourage players to play at their own pace, to get all of that.
I'm so excited for everyone on Twitter to complain that there's no content to play because they blast through all the content that's dropped.
Episode 2.
Excellent. That's right. Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yes,
it's going to be great.
That's at that same end, when Episode 2, I did it too, rolls around, make sure and let us know what you guys think. But whether you're a Netflix-style binger like myself, or you want to go to the comic book store each week to go ahead and pick up the new issue, there's going to be a chance to dive in no matter how you want.
However you want to experience it, it's up for you. But make sure to read it. More about it is going to be in the Twid this week.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh, cool. All right.
Plenty more information on the way.
I mean, that's a cool change, but
and take a look at.
I mean, you can't make everyone happy.
So we're still in Episode 1, Echoes. Act 1 has kind of concluded its main story beats. For those at home that may not have had a chance to play through or may have some questions about the story, would you mind catching us up to what events got us here today?
Sure. We'll do the short version. Great news. The witness is dead. We did
We
it.
did it.
Yay!
All right, good job,
episodes
good
are
job. We
all
killed the
about
witness.
Consequences of where we killed the witness
Yeah.
and how. So when we killed the witness, all of that darkness, all of that memory, all of that energy collided with the light of the traveler. And so all of the memories that were inside of the witness, which is not necessarily exclusively the precursor beings that are inside of it, collided with the light of the traveler and made matter out of those memories. We call those echoes. And one of them launched out towards Nessus. And so we followed it to try and investigate, see what this thing is. And when we got there, we managed to reunite with Failsafe, who you left. You abandoned her. She's okay with
I do
this
feel
because
personally
she's
responsible.
chill.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness. Thank you.
She's very happy.
I didn't do it. You made
I'm
me.
happy to see
You gave
her.
me no
So
reason
we
to go
explored
back.
through Nessus, and initially things
Your
were pretty
fault.
fun. What a fun, cool,
right.
lighthearted adventure.
Yeah.
Nothing bad's going to happen.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Fail-safes
No,
around.
nothing bad.
And the act
Nothing
ends
whatsoever.
With getting a little tease of like, oh wait, this isn't going to be a strictly lighthearted adventure. Saint gets kidnapped. More than kidnapped, kind of body controlled away from the rest of the group. And as he's taken away, this being called the conductor is interrogating him and demanding to kind of understand whether or not you are real, like whether Saint is the real Saint or not. It's unnerving and kind of weird.
actually
and the
cool.
vibes are only going to get darker from there.
Even better. Given that Saint has
Oh,
a rich history with
perfect.
effects, I'm sure everything is just going to go nice and peachy keen.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
Nothing bad. No,
So-
of course not.
And so now that we've washed away that veneer of everything's going to go great, Act 2 now is
Yes.
arriving as well. Now, there's plenty of stuff for folks to dive into, but as we go ahead and kick things off here with Act 2, can you give us a little bit of a tease of what we're going to be checking out?
Yeah, what Saint heard when he was being kind of controlled really got to his head. We are going to.
Oh, I
be
can only
watching
imagine.
him wrestle with some questions that he's never asked.
Oh,
himself
wrestle?
before.
Yeah.
Saints the new
And
Stone
as
Cold
we are
Steve
trying to
Austin?
understand more about
Stone Cold
this
Saint 14?
conductor that he has encountered.
Oh, yeah, the conductor.
We are also going to be going back and revisiting one of Destiny's most storied locations very briefly.
What?
Lore hounds out there are going to have a chance to feed.
Excuse
We're
me.
going to have a
Where are we going?
Excellent. Bife, you're welcome.
What's the
I don't know if
storied
it's more than 10
location?
Hours, but we'll leave that up
We
to
going to
you.
Io?
Got you, boo.
Perfect. Okay. And now
I still wish that when
gives
the
us
witness was
structure for
defeated,
what
that
we're
all
about
the
to dive into, but we have
planets
now,
the darkness had
new
taken would come back.
arriving as well.
I wish.
So
I
we're gonna go
wish.
ahead, we have some
But
gameplay
no,
here
I didn't
going
have my
back
wish
to
granted.
the Echo Battlegrounds,
Mad about it.
new three-player activity. Ryan,
Oh.
kind of telling us a little bit about what we're going to be checking out here today.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll be taking a look at one of the 3 battlegrounds that players will be engaging with this act.
Oh, perfect. I just said not a big fan of Battlegrounds, and we have Battlegrounds.
Sister in the Wall of Flames,
I'm kidding.
of course. And players will be running through the Wall of Flames, checking out what's going on here as the Fallen have kind of like started hanging out and investigating the well for themselves.
Yeah.
So players really here like seeing like noticing that the radial area of this lake has been drained. A lot of the area is kind of like
Ah,
regenerated itself to something new. And players will be looking at the story of like where is this radial
big
area
ol'
going
environment
through?
changes.
Through. So for Battleground 1, you're kind of like finding out and like locating where all this radial area is going to.
Yeah.
Battleground 2, you're seeing the actual flow and direction of all the radial area to the center of Nessus. And Battleground 3, you're actually seeing like where it's being directed to. So it's really trying to tell that story about the journey to the center of Nessus.
Very exciting, yeah.
All right.
Kind of have a way of interconnecting with each other as well. Also, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Obviously, the Vex have been our primary antagonist through this, but the entrance here is being guarded by a pretty heavy contingent of Fallen. Who are these Fallen, and what are they trying to do here?
Yeah, who are
It's
they?
a relatively boring answer, but I believe Allison can give a much better one.
Thanks. Yeah, the Fallen are here because they're after the Echo too. We want to think of these Echoes as kind of an arms race.
Yeah.
In the absence of the witness, there's a giant power vacuum that has formed.
I was about to say power
where
vacuum.
There's no one in charge. Who's going to come out and take it on top?
Yeah.
So the Fallen are here. They're chasing down the Echo as well, and they're encountering the same thing that we are, in that the Vex aren't really.
Can we turn
acting
off the
Vex
emotes on
really
screen,
do
please?
here.
Yeah.
We're seeing some Vex start to act less like a collective and more like individuals. There's one really fun lore tab where one of them waves at us.
Yeah.
So we're encountering.
Aw,
most of the
yeah,
Vex, but
dude.
Yeah, also Fallen are here too.
Individualized Vex is exactly what we need in this universe.
I think you were saying
We're all gonna die.
individualistic in kind of a weird way, which is like the one thing the Vex don't
Totally.
do. Yeah.
It's the one thing that they don't do,
Yeah.
which is why it's super weird that they're doing it here.
Yeah.
And yeah, in Act 2, we're going to be able to see a little bit more of why they're specifically doing that.
Very exciting. Awesome. Plenty to dive into, and also with these battlegrounds as well, Ryan. I know we were talking a bit before the show, but it seems like the main goal here was just for you guys to push yourselves, to really push the boundaries of what battlegrounds have been. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish with this?
What boundaries are we pushing? It's
So
just
for
another
Battlegrounds,
kill and
it's
collect,
definitely
kill and
latest
collect, kill and
latest
collect.
Iteration of Battlegrounds. As folks know, Battlegrounds consist of 2 encounters and a final boss encounter. So
Dude, let's get these emotes off screen. Come on,
what a
Bungie.
Battleground is and how closely it resembles a strike. And this set of Battlegrounds, I really wanted to push it to be like, what is a Battleground and what is a strike? I wanted to be almost one of the same. So with these Battlegrounds and stuff, I wanted players to, well, of course, have enough enemies on screen to slay out at all times.
Yeah.
We're definitely pushing the combatant counts in these Battlegrounds as high as possible, in some ranges of 40 enemies at a time on screen, which is quite a lot.
I mean, it's still just
Plenty for us to go ahead and
enemies,
check out.
kill, collect,
And,
enemies,
that gives
kill,
enough,
collect. Like,
opportunity for everyone in the fire team to use all their abilities, use prismatic to the fullest extent, and always use their super on cooldown or prismatic on cooldown when the opportunity arises. I want players to feel like they can just do everything, and there's not just that one player soloing the entire encounter. So everyone is contributing to that experience.
Yeah, I can imagine too, even with the the expanded sandbox that's been brought to us with the new abilities by way of prismatic, or even the new weapons, which we'll start to check out here in just a little bit. What were some additional ways? I can imagine it probably wasn't just even more, but you guys were saying you were trying to make some more of these mobs a bit more intense to go ahead and go up against as well.
Yeah. So with the telling the story of the Vex are like evolving and changing, we've I went ahead and modified an existing wyvern. I'm so sorry. So
How dare you?
You'll
it's a Thydra.
engage with these wyverns.
It's forever a Thydra.
And they have a special new ability where they can teleport.
Fun.
And dodge around you, and
Yeah.
also
So friendly, so cool.
It's kind of scary.
Okay, so wyverns are now servitors.
Right, yeah.
They certainly are an active threat in the battlefield, and I wanted players to really be on the lookout for them and engage with them and prioritize them as that priority target when they are seen.
Yeah, and that's something that's been neat. Obviously, players will have a chance. The first 2 of these battlegrounds obviously arrive with the first week of Act 2.
I hope it's more intuitive than what they're describing of,
But
hey,
it's not even necessarily, I think,
2 encounters and a
You
boss.
were mentioning earlier that you wanted to make these closer to a strike.
This is not the greatest.
Even the second battleground is kind of like an all-new experience in a lot of ways. It's not just going back to a part of the planet we've been to before with new foes, but it's a brand new experience. Can you tell us what it was like kind of putting that together and sort of creating this journey to the center of Nessus?
Yeah, so we really wanted to tell a story of that journey to the center of Nessus, and that requires new geo, new art, new environment.
Yeah.
So everything after this encounter onwards is just all new geo and layout. And we really tried our best to carve out what that experience is, and that
This is horrendous.
from Battlegrounds. They usually run through.
I'm talking about the live stream, not the content. This sidearm looks pretty neato mosquito though.
Battlegrounds really
It's a pretty cool animation.
boundaries of hey, this is
Neato mosquitoes, the kids say these days. Obviously, kids are saying neato mosquito.
It's kind of like a strike. It is a strike, almost.
Right?
The boss is
Right?
part of that exercise too, though. I think, like we were talking before, where it's not just kind of taking characters that you've battled before and making them tougher, but it's a brand new encounter with new mechanics and new kind of ways to go ahead and push further into the boss fight. That's the most broad strokes way I can describe it. But obviously, as the man who designed it, can you tell us a little bit more about creating these new boss experiences as well for players during this act?
Yeah. So one thing back to what players know from Battlegrounds is when someone plays a Battleground they come in groups of 3 or 4. Players are like, I know what to expect from this boss encounter. It's usually the same but similar boss encounters.
Right.
But for these Battlegrounds, they're all unique bosses. They're all different. They're all challenging in their own ways, and they're just barely and just different, very different from one another. So that was the experience we're trying to hit here. Is players, when they jump into a Battleground, it's not going to be the same. It'll be different. The boss encounter will be different. We'll be trying to tell a story.
How many variations are there going to be? Because that's a cool concept. If boss encounters are going to change as we play, then I'm down with that. But how many are there? I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I promise.
Like a damage window, or just no damage immunities at all, where the player is just engaging with a boss that has the largest health pool I've placed on a boss ever.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
For
We'll
now.
see. plenty of chances to go ahead and test out those still hunt accuracy, or each individual's accuracy with still hunt, rather, I should say. I say that because I keep a shotgun on me for a very good reason. But no, there's obviously a ton of stuff to check out in that regard, but I think I'd be remiss if we didn't also talk a bit more kind of about what we're seeing on screen in some way. Is Chris, we've got some new weapons that are going to be arriving with this act as well. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of maybe even this one we're seeing here on screen? This is one of the new ones as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Aberrant Action Solar Rocket-Assisted Frame Sidearm.
Or rocket
Okay.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, the first solar rocket sidearm, and it's a banger.
Yeah.
The roll that we're showing here is heel clip incandescent, which is probably, it synergizes super well with solar subclass.
Yeah, here we
It's
go.
definitely the one that does that.
That's fresh, dude.
Just to say it, the
That's also a cool roll.
weapons art team knocked it out of the park.
I don't have many rolls with hill clip, but I mean, I could be convinced.
Cool little animation.
I know so many people live for hill clip. I'm just,
Honestly.
there are other perks that I would rather.
To it, honestly.
There are some other like interesting perk combos on this as well. So I'm particularly fond of Pugilist and Demolitionist.
Yeah.
As you get kills so fast with these rocket sidearms that regenerating your ability energy as you're doing that just keeps you armed to the teeth at all times.
Yeah. Never hurts. In addition to that, we've also got
Yeah.
a new arc heavy burst pulse rifle, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Corasian Arc Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle,
Yeah.
another one in this seasonal set. And yeah, this is, we introduced...
God, these
this
weapons look so
subfamily
cool.
With Final Shape, and this
Yeah.
is the third one of these.
I've been begging for weapons that look in the same vibe as Vex Mythoclast, and we're finally getting them. And that makes me a very happy boy. Volt shot, high impact reserves.
So having Frenzy gives you a bit of damage and those stats as well, and very high uptime. Really great.
Yeah, I can imagine too in the era where pulse rifles are living through their anti-barrier era as well. It's probably not too bad to have one with that many stacked perks on it, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, I can see Volt Shot doing a lot of untold damage just behind enemy lines pretty rapidly with that guy.
It's a pretty juiced in PvP as well. Definitely
Yeah.
to pick up.
Ooh, good point. Yeah. Headseeker fans rejoice. Potentially. And then in addition to that, an old favorite is going to be making its return. Saint's tried and true favorite shotgun. Perfect Paradox is coming back as well from Season to Dawn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Back, along with a bunch of other Dawn weapons. This is the one we're dropping in this act.
Okay.
It's got all of the perks that you know and love from the original.
Yeah.
Plus a bunch of new ones, plus the new origin trait, Cast No Shadows, which if you're doing a melee build, just synergizes really nicely with it. So, threat detector left column, and then
Oh, that'll go great with the Liar's Handshake slash Caliban Synthesep cloak that I have for my hunter. I really haven't been running Liar's Handshake. I've been running that Synthesep's Caliban's cloak
With some new additions to
for add clear melee build.
There's also
Kinda
some
rocks,
new,
dude.
A new row, pardon me, of perks unlocking on the seasonal artifact as well. Isn't that right?
Right, yeah. So each act we're adding a new row. So this is 5 new artifact mods. And with these, we're really leaning into sniper rifles and solar damage.
Yeah.
So we'll bring this up in a second.
Oh
but
yeah. They're the fire team here.
I'm getting ahead of yourself,
has a
partner.
little bit of their hands full. And also, everyone in chat, please give a shout out to Peyton, Mitch, and Justin here, who are doing the proverbial heavy lifting, carrying us through this activity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So anti-barrier sniper is coming back. Personal favorite.
Oh, that's what they meant. Row, not column.
About that, I think when everyone saw it on the
Okay.
artifact.
Yep, it makes it really easy to deal with barrier champions, and like you can also.
Okay, discounted scavenger mods is a nice thing to see.
I was so bad for the Hive Knights that set up so defiant.
Will I use it over the other stuff in that column? I actually don't know.
Yeah, and then scavenger mods, so you can keep those special ammo sniper rifles fed.
Yeah.
Moving on, incendiary rifle rounds. Yeah, so if you've got a solo sniper rifle, and I can think of a couple, we've seen Whisper of the Worm here, but there's also Still Hunt.
Yeah.
This really juices those. You're scorching targets with this artifact mod, and then if we move on to the next one, once you build up enough scorch stacks and you have that ignition, it will do increased damage.
Oh, great. So I'm just going to keep running Sunshot
And not only
with
we're
that.
adding this other artifact mod for sniper rifles, which increases damage with every precision hit. So if you're landing like crit after crit on a boss with Whisper or Still Hunt or your favorite legendary solar sniper rifle,
Yeah.
you're going to be the damage output is going to be
I
rich.
was just say, yeah, Whisper of the Worm mains are just going to be feasting.
Oh yeah.
Your next excision run is about to be just a symphony of Whispers of the Worm, honestly. Which is not a bad way to spend some time.
It's all sniper focused, and I'm not a big sniper user, so
buffs that we're going to be
I'll
adding.
probably just use that
with
fourth column
the
one.
arrival of Act 2, obviously Solstice will be a part of that. And we'll touch on that a little bit later here in the stream.
Okay.
But with the arrival of Solstice, you guys are also working on a new balance update as well.
Yeah.
Covers weapons, covers armor, covers abilities. I'm going to go ahead and kick off with perhaps an update that's very near and dear to my heart. As a Dead Man's Tale main, the Texas Scout Rifles are getting a pretty solid PvE buff across the board. Is that right?
Yeah, we've seen that the legendary and exotic aggressive Scout Rifles have been lagging a bit behind in damage output in PvE. So we're bumping that by 30%, which puts them like just ahead of the current leaders for Scout Rifle damage output.
Yeah.
They're a ton of fun. Like they hit really hard.
I'm so excited. Not only because I just like hip firing guys from.
There's not a lot of
I tell you, I'm looking for any
use, at least in my repertoire, of scout rifles in PvE. Do I use them in PvP?
Also,
I like how beefy they feel in PvP, but they feel underwhelming and lacking whenever it comes to PvE. So maybe this will fix it. I don't know. I haven't played it yet. We'll see. I'll probably do a review of them once that buff comes out, and we'll see how it does. I want to see a damage output on something like the Tex or
into the void and being like,
Dead Man's Tale.
The Fighting Lion subreddit is probably very happy right now, so shout out to all of them. In addition to that, an old favorite of mine as well, speaking of some of the classics, Ariana's Vow is going to be getting a pretty sizable buff against barrier shields as well.
Yeah, so
Dude.
had a bunch of changes to exotic weapons and how they interact with barrier champions. And Ariana's Vow fell a bit behind, so we've bumped its damage substantially. It's 67%.
Jesus.
In most difficulties, it will break barrier champion shields in 2 shots, which makes its ammo economy like much more valuable.
Right.
And it had a pretty big rework recently. This just makes it that much stronger.
Yeah. Always a good thing.
I can pull that out of the old Voltarino, dude. I love me some Ariana's Vow.
To speak to while we were here. Obviously, all this will arrive on Bungie.net later, but as long as we got you here, I'd love to hear if you got any more on your mind that you'd love to speak to.
Yeah, with the sniper rifle focus in this act, we really wanted to improve their ease of use a bit more in PvE. One of the biggest problems is when you're like trying to land crits on the witness or something and you're taking a bunch of damage, you're getting flinched off target a lot. So we've gone in and halved the flinch from PvE enemies.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. I'm also
all right, so snipers are easy mode.
But we've gone in and removed the penalties from adept mods. And this is sort of setting the stage for a larger set of mods that will be dropping in a future release.
Oh, wait, we're getting new mods? All right, I dig it. I dig it. Our mod system has been bleh, especially since they changed like they changed boss mods and stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you do a lot of raiding, you're probably familiar with the reserves mod swapping shenanigans that you can do.
Yeah.
And this is just sort of fiddly and annoying for players. We don't think it's a balance issue, but it is irritating. We didn't want players to have to do it. So now when you switch your reserves mods back off, it'll bring your total reserves back down to their current cap.
Oh, that's dumb.
We've increased reserves for special and heavy weapons across the board.
That's dumb as shit. Why would you take that away?
Okay.
And in addition to that, if you do like running reserves mods permanently, we've reduced their cost by 1. You'll note that with some of the discounted mods from the artifact, like already reduced that to 1, so this would bring it down to 0.
Oh, really?
It's a pretty big change.
Very nice. All right. So build crafters, you've all been made aware. Now's a chance to start tweaking those variables in your spreadsheets across the board. Very exciting. Okay. A lot of stuff to dive into still yet, but we've also got a brief, quick preview of some stuff that's going to be arriving with Solstice. Now, I know our fire team is here hard at work in the background, but very briefly, I wanted to make sure that as a part of the show, we took a look at the armor sets that are going to be arriving with Solstice.
Yeah, give me some armor.
As a reminder,
anything special.
Here with
Oh yeah, Solstice coming up. Can't wait to
you guys to dive into. We'll
play
have
that
more
twice.
information Soon, but you can take a look here and see kind of the, I don't know, old-timey
I don't know.
inner race car driver
Yeah,
here.
I can really see the adventurer influence.
That's
in this,
pretty
that
sick,
idea of
dude.
explorer who's going and delving into different places.
Yeah, I mean,
Also the pants.
I was gonna say with boots like this,
Consider the pants.
you're
Yeah,
seriously, like
dude.
the first time as a
Pants
hunter,
time?
Warlocks.
It's
Congratulations.
pants 30.
Let's see. Up next, we've also got our friendly neighborhood Titan, I believe, with perhaps one of the coolest helmets I have ever seen available to them. Once again, as a hunter, it's a very alien feeling. feeling, being jealous of Titans, but this is one time I'll go ahead and summon that feeling.
No, Andy, calm down.
Titans
Calm
out
down.
there, make sure you go
Never
and
jealous
take
of
this
Titans
one.
over here on the Hunter Squad.
This one, I can't wait to see start running around the tower. Should be pretty solid. And
All right, what do we got?
last but very not least.
All right.
we also
I really dig that helmet and that cloak, and I'm wondering what the shader's going to be like. Like, if that,
again, really
if all this yellow and gold can be impacted by the shader, this might be the coolest set out there.
and plus an expanded sandbox of all the goodies. that-
Very, got very big, like, Star Wars bounty hunter vibes, dude.
Very appreciative of it, but
Or smuggler vibes,
kind of
even.
a quick look
Feel like a
into
smuggler
episodes.
from Star Wars, which is not a problem.
But
I'm
yeah,
not
I
mad
mean,
about.
Honestly, that's kind of the main set of topics for today. We're going to go ahead and scan Twitch chat very briefly to make sure we can go ahead and grab any questions. But Ryan, honestly, we're now into, is this the second Battleground?
Yeah, we're in the second battleground on the second encounter right now.
Yeah.
So what we didn't see previously was players were, when they finish the first battleground, the second battleground actually starts where the first battleground ends to
Yeah.
continue on your journey into the center of Nessus.
Yeah.
And that's the same for when you end battleground 2. That's where you start for battleground 3.
Very exciting.
Okay.
Cool, actually having that again, that journey to the center of Nessus. Sort of in that
Journey
same
to the
vein,
center of the
one thing
earth. Where's
also
Dwayne The Rock
would
Johnson,
love
dude?
to ask selfishly is a wise narrative director once said that stories are told in 3 acts. Could you tell us a little bit about what this episodic structure offers you guys? Like, what are you able to try that's different?
So humans like stories that have shapes, right?
Right.
When we think of a story where you're kind of like in the same place, like doing the same thing, like sometimes we want to make sure that our stories feel like they have shape and momentum to them. For example, with episode 1, we can think of the shape of it kind of as starting in this place of really like lighthearted. It's a fun romp, it's a fun adventure, and
Yeah.
it slowly goes down
Yeah.
into a really dark place.
As all the doom happens in the background, we're having
Exactly.
fun with failsafe.
We get to play with that play with those shapes and play
Yeah.
with that structure with each of our episodes. So
Okay.
in episode 2 and episode 3, it may start at different places and the energy may take you in different ways.
Yeah.
We got to really experiment and play around with.
I guess
what
I'm
we
still
could do
confused as
here
the
if we were
difference
to enable
between
us to
seasons and
add things
episodes.
like
It feels like episodes are just longer seasons with
or,
breaks in the
different
middle.
ways that the battlefields may change as we're going
Which, I
forward.
mean, I guess isn't a
Humans
terrible
also
thing, and it
have
avoids us having a
and that's
7-month-long
what
season.
the
but-
well-defined act structure allows us to do.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of be honest about it, right?
Honestly, as we've just getting
Yeah.
started
But hey,
here
if the
in episode
content's
3,
good, then I'm not mad about
on the way, but we'll talk
by
about
the
that
by the
more
changes to
and we've
episodic
got plenty
content,
to
right?
get into with Act
Feels like bigger story beats, not just seasons where some seasons feel a little bit disjointed from the ones that came before or after them.
Could I touch briefly on the ability stuff? That's coming?
Please, yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been monitoring feedback in PvP around prismatic hunters, and particularly the 2 pain points around swarm grenades and threaded spectre. So we're bringing both of those down into line.
Yeah.
We've also got a couple of PvE changes coming, and this is Titan stuff. It's sort of previewing some Titan changes that are going to come in a future release.
Yeah.
But we're
Wait, were
bumping up
people-
the Doom
was Swarm
damage,
Grenade-
Supers, Twilight Arsenal,
Did it need a
and Hammer of
debuff?
Souls, so those should both be a lot
Did it need a nerf?
Right, yeah. Hammer of Soul Titans rejoice.
Interesting.
Also, I selfishly like grabbing that axe from Twilight Arsenal, so if those could keep existing, I'd be a very happy camper.
Yeah.
Also, we got a question from chat. Freeboop asks, probably one for you, Chris. Are you guys still evaluating the interactions of the combo on Edge Transit, or you swap from Envious Assassin to Cascade Point and a 24 magazine while you still have Cascade Point?
Yeah, so we mentioned a few weeks back that we're going
Yeah.
to be adjusting that. It ended up needing a code change, which is typically a little bit slower to roll out, but that fix is still coming. So
Very exciting.
if you missed out
Cool.
on getting that perk combination, that is not going to be an exploit that continues to work.
Excellent. Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Freeboop, for the question. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think thankfully that's as we watch our
Okay.
steadfast group of Guardians go ahead and continue their way here through the Battlegrounds. I think that's kind of the high and low of our show, everyone. Of course, we wanted to go ahead and make sure as we dive into the events of Act 2, as we're going to get, prepared to conclude Act 1. We wanted to make sure that all of you.
I don't
had
want to
access
feel
the content.
underwhelmed,
And
but I
again,
can't
like I
help
said,
but
this
feel a
launches
little
next
underwhelmed.
week on July 16th.
I'm
Just a reminder of the
cautiously
topics we covered.
optimistic.
Of course, we're going to go ahead and remind you that the Bungie Foundation folks are doing some amazing work. Go ahead and scan that QR code and check out what they're up to. Otherwise, Act 2 arrives next week. With it, you'll have these 3 new battlegrounds.
We'll be live with it next week.
With the
Don't
first
worry.
week,
Be live on
third
Twitch
arriving
and
on the
YouTube.
second week. new weapons joining the sandbox, new artifact mods for you to go ahead and unlock, and of course, Solstice will be joining us later on into the act. But otherwise, before we go, I of course want to make sure that we take a chance to go ahead and thank our amazing cast here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Andy's a good host. I appreciate him hosting these. He's very good. He's also a
team of playtesters
great guy.
Mitch, Justin, and Peyton. Thank you very much for doing the proverbial heavy lifting. To the amazing team here, producers in-house, they go ahead and put this all on. Thank you all so much, honestly.
I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's call it that. Let's call it cautiously optimistic.
Join us today. We'll see you all very soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all star side.
All right, so that's it. Ready for Act 2 starting next week. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, click a like, and we will see you next week for more Destiny content. Remember, videos coming out every Tuesday or Wednesday here on youtube.com/Nelstar15. If you haven't, go follow me on the other platforms. You can find those in the description below. Thank you, and remember, treat everybody with love and respect. I'll see you guys next time.